everybody, welcome back to Hudson Bonsai. Today I've got a pretty large Japanese maple in here. This one is a sango kaku, or a lot of times they're called a coral bark maple. And this is a tree I've had on at least one other video where I was taking some air layerings. I've taken quite a few air layers from this tree, just all up in the canopy. And I always plan to cut this tree back, very far, at some point, and make kind of a shorter, fatter tree out of it. But over the years, I've kind of grown to like it in this kind of tall, slender form that it has. So what I'm going to do today is just kind of work on cleaning this up a little bit and see if I can use a lot of this, nice tight ramification that's developed here. There are some long, runaway branches that'll be taken off. Definitely going to put some wire on it. It has a pretty nice nabari going on down there. It's developing pretty well. There's maybe one or two roots like this one here that eventually may get taken off in favor of something below it, but that's developing pretty well. There's a graft site here that does seem to be kind of blending in. I don't think that's really going to be a problem. I'm not sure yet whether I'll end up taking these little branches off the bottom or just let them go. I'll just have to see. If it looks good enough, I'll just take these right off, but I still may decide someday to chop this tree back, and it'd be nice to have these branches if that's what I'm thinking about doing. Alright, well, the first thing I'm going to get started doing is just taking off a few of these. There's some small dead branches here and there. I saw another one. There we go. I'm not cutting these back super close at the moment. I'm just taking them off. Next thing is there's a few branches that I think do need to go. For instance, this branch over here I think is it's taller than the apex, and it's just too big. So the first move I'm going to make is to remove this section of the branch. I also have to make a decision on whether I want to remove this branch or this branch. This is a much nicer branch. They're both kind of in positions where I need a branch. There's a lot I could work with here maybe to fill in that gap, so I'm going to go ahead and take this one off. I'm leaving plenty of room for this to die back and start to callus up before I come in and make a final close cut. I don't want to risk any dieback onto the trunk. There's another branch back here that I think needs to come off. There's also this little spindly branch here. this one. I'm going to go ahead and take this little bud at the base of that off as well. Same thing here. There's a little branch coming out of the crotch here. Take that off. It's a really small branch coming from back here. There's a large wound here where I took an air layer. So for now I'm just going to leave that there to help heal that wound. Alright, now that I've removed all the real structural branches that I knew right away that I wanted to get rid of, I'm going to start taking off a few, just like these branches that are kind of just way too long, way outside of the silhouette of the tree. I'm trying to cut them to a pair of buds that are growing laterally rather than up and down, so that the next set of branches will be laid out laterally. Just gonna I see like this branch is still just too tall, and I don't think I'm going to be taking it way down with wires, as there are lower branches here already. Start with that maybe. Branch in the back is another one. Taking back some of these really long tips. I do think that those lower branches are just kind of distracting from the portion of the tree that I actually want to use. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is start getting a few pieces of wire on here and just move some of these branches into what I think is going to be the final position of them, so I can decide how I want to prune them. Got a difficult spot here where I want to use this heavy wire, but there's not really enough space between these branches to get it on. Let's see what I can do. I think it's just going to be too difficult to get that around there. So I'm going to go with, you'll have to use 2 wraps of 4mm wire. Does mean I could carry it out a bit further. Alright, so now I've put quite a few pieces of wire on this tree. Pretty happy with, all the positioning of the branches. I'm sure there'll be still a little bit more to tweak. There's still some underdeveloped branches. I'd like this to grow out some. I think really the next thing I need to do is just kind of go through and do a little bit of pruning, shorten up the tips of some of these branches. Just cutting back the buds that are opposed horizontally. There's also quite a few groups of 3 that need to be reduced. So I'm just going to work my way through the tree and continue with all that work. Alright, so now I've gone through and removed most of the junctions where there was 3 or more branches. There's a few here and there that I left either because I missed them or just because I didn't feel it was necessary to remove it right now. Here's one. Get rid of that. Like I said, for the most part I've removed all of them. I do think I'm going to go ahead and remove all of these skinny little branches down here at the base. All the pruning I'm doing today, I'm leaving stubs that'll be removed later. And that's just so that I can make sure that I don't get dieback and I get proper healing of that cut. Yeah, I think that just really did a lot to clean that up. So I'm not going to seal these cuts right this minute. I'm going to give them a little time just to stop bleeding before I try to put sealer on them. I've also adjusted the angle just a little bit with a block of wood in the back, and I'll just have to address that the next time that I repot this tree. But I think there's a few bits and pieces here that maybe I don't really like this branch here, but the end of this branch is fairly well into the silhouette, so I think that I can leave that on for a little bit longer. Alright, well, I think I've gotten this tree pretty well into shape. I'll give you a quick once around so you can have a look at the entire tree. And somewhere around there, I think, is the front. Like I said, I did adjust the angle a little bit. I may even go a little bit further when I repot it, but I think that's pretty close to what I want. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. This is a pretty big tree. It's pretty, like I say, a tall, slender looking tree, but that's seemed to me like what this tree wanted to be. And I think the work today really improved it quite a bit. And next year it should really fill out nicely, and I'll make some update videos, get into the late spring pruning of this tree. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.